chair of this committee. Please can you ensure that your phone are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting? In addition, when asked to raise your hand, if members who are virtually viewing this meeting could raise your electronic hand, and for members in the chamber, just raise your hand. Just to make you all aware, today's meeting will be recorded. So agenda item 1, declaration of interest. Are there any declaration of interests?
I can't see any declarations of interest, Chair.
Thank you, Pam. Moving on to agenda item 2, minutes of previous meeting. These are on page 3 to page 6. If you feel these are an accurate record of the meeting, can I please have a proposer and a seconder to approve these minutes? Sonia, thank you, proposer.
Sorry, could we just
Second,
have Councillor Reynolds say that on the mic, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Happy to second. Thank you, Vice Chair. All okay?
Yes, I can confirm those minutes are approved.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 3, agenda item 3. This is the draft annual report of the Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales. The report can be found on page 7 to page 52. This report is here for decision. So before I open for any questions, I'm going to ask Craig and Stacey if they wanted to add anything.
Thank you, Chair. So not much to add, really. Thank you. Not much to add, really. This is the usual draft report that comes to the committee this time of year. You're consulted as part of the consultation process in around about November every year with the draft proposals from the IRPW. You will then receive the final draft in around February time to inform the remuneration of members for 25-26. So the inclusion here, Chair, is the new proposed elements of remuneration on page 8. There are no further changes proposed to payments in relation to travel and subsistence, care and personal assistance, etc., as listed on page 8. And the only additional change that's mentioned is the continuation of the hourly rate of pay for co-opted members, which is a difference from a half day or a full day rate based on the prominence of online shorter briefings, sort of quick online meetings as opposed to a half day or full day session. So the body felt that it was appropriate to introduce an hourly rate when that was appropriate for co-opted members. So today this forms part of the consultation back to the IRPW. All members of council have been sent a copy of this report and they are welcome to feedback their comments in their own right. Usually the Democratic Services Committee ask Craig or myself to respond on behalf of the committee because the committee feels it's put in a difficult position to respond based on their own salary. But if there is any feedback the committee would like me to raise on the committee's behalf, I can do that. They've also set questions from page 9 onwards, which they'd like responses to as part of the consultation, if there was anything, as well as genuine general feedback. So just bringing that to members' attention this afternoon as part of the consultation process, and if there is anything that the committee would like me to contain in the feedback to the IRPW, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. Okay, so I'll open up for question then. I have Sonia, please, first.
I just wanted to, and I'm not sure whether this actually fits in this consultation, but it's a point when I can, and I can mention it. I'm still seeing real issues for some of our young parents in coping with their duties as counsellors, and my understanding is care and personal assistance, there's supposed to be, childcare, and it should be easy to access. However, I'm not seeing that, and I'm seeing counsellors struggling with trying to deal, particularly those with children who've just started school. So meetings, where counsellors have to leave because they've got to go and pick their kids up, when, there should be the possibility of making that much more easily available to them. They should be able to have support that would allow them to pay for support and assistance in that. And what's the progress on that? Because I think it is impacting on some of our younger parents.
So you're referring to the child care support allowance available to counsellors?
Yes,
Right,
and I'm assuming that comes under the care and personal assistance element of this.
It does. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you, Chair. And I think because it's unchanged, it's not particularly referenced in this report, but trying to remember what was in the last one, and I will look back at the detail, there is a provision for childcare costs to be reimbursed by the council, and there is a support package around that, but it's not detailed in this report because it hasn't been changed. I think what's in here is any changes. So we can go back and look at whatever the original package of support is. The package of support is there, but I don't know how, it's certainly not well used because I haven't helped members to use it. So perhaps it would be reminding members about what they are able to do and what support is there around childcare, because that does exist. It's just perhaps working through the practicalities of how members use that support package, I'd say. But you're right, it's not mentioned in there, but that's not to say it doesn't exist anymore. It's just because they haven't changed it, I think.
Can we, as a council, look to be more proactive about this? Because I'm aware of councillors who could really use that help. And I know you can go for things and claim, but is it not possible to have a fairly standard agreement around something where you can have so much per week? Is there no way that we can do something so that councillors, because it's not just meetings, it's trying to get your work done, and it's problematic. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to take that away, Chair. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Sonia. Anybody else has any questions? Okay, Suzanne in the chamber, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for allowing me to sit on this committee and ask a question. It just seems like they went into an awful lot of detail to look at the number of hours co-opted members might need. When did they last sort of review how many hours it takes to actually be a counsellor? Because we only get paid for 3 days of the, is it 3 days of the national average wage or something like that? And I just wondered, have they ever looked into how much time it takes to actually be a counsellor? No? No.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because this is the independent remuneration panel. So this is not affiliated with the council at all. This is given to us, isn't it? I don't. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Can you put your mic on? Sorry.
Sorry, but to your knowledge, they haven't done that, have they?
It's not something that they've mentioned. So if we could happily include that in,
Well, I'm
in
gonna-
the feedback.
I'm going to be
And you're going to
feeding
do
back
it.
in.
Yeah, I would encourage you to do so
Thank you.
because the more feedback that's given, especially from individual councillors, it obviously makes more of a difference. So I would encourage you to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Stacey just mentioned it now. I think what we find ultimately is when the IRPW set these figures on an annual basis, they should be reflecting the individual circumstances every year when they come ultimately to be setting what the recommendation is going to be. But I think it's certainly a point ultimately that we can make as part of any response, that as part of future iterations of the report, maybe they need to be considering more on an annual basis and have it documented in the report as to how they reach the conclusion on the number of works and the evidence maybe that is there to ultimately sustain it. So we can certainly ask if they can address that as part of future reports.
Okay, Suzanne. Okay, I can see there's two indication online. I have Phil Rogers and Caroline Lewis. So can I ask Phil, please, first?
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you very much. Obviously, we have this every year. Just wondering, what is the financial pressure on the council from this increase? Has anybody worked out what the financial total liability will mean for paying all this, please?
Councillor Lewis, I think you're still on mute.
Hello, did you hear my question?
Yes, Phil, we have, yes. I will ask Craig and Stacey to come in. Actually, if you want to come in now, and I'll wait for Caroline.
Thank you, Councillor Rogers. So as you have seen, obviously the IRPW are proposing an increase in the salary costs ultimately for elected members. We do not get any additional funding ultimately from Welsh Government or any other body as part of what that element would be. So therefore, the council is expected to find that as part of our overarching budget proposal setting that we're moving into for 25-26 in that sense. So as you can basically just comes down to, they've told us there's to be a 2% increase or 3% increase. We have to budget then for a 2 or 3% increase as part of the overarching budget process going into the next financial year.
Yeah, do we actually know what the extra is going to be in total for us? Has anybody got a figure?
We don't. I wouldn't know. We wouldn't know the exact cost. What we've done is we send this to our director of finance. So when we've got an indication of the proposals, because this is just draft, we still don't know for definite. So who gets all these figures to build into his modelling, which he does so probably in terms of the salary uplift element, and then it's all confirmed. But we can ask who for a breakdown ready for February. That might be helpful for the committee, because as Craig said, we don't get anything extra. It's just something to bear in mind as the base budget then.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you, Craig.
Okay, Caroline, can you hear us from the chamber?
Yes, I can hear. Sorry.
No,
Yes.
no problem. Did you have a question you wanted to ask?
I did, but I don't know whether it's been sort of answered. Yes, I was just wondering. I was grateful that Sonia brought up the childcare. I think it's a really important element to it, and it would attract perhaps more diverse group of councillors. I think if there was just some sort of financial support, and it was just sort of a standard package maybe that's there. I know parents have to, go and pick their children up from school or take little ones in and whatnot. But and not just for children, even elderly, I suppose, relatives that you care for. It's not just young children, is it? If there was just one sort of standard package, that might work, because I wouldn't even entertain, if I had a little one, trying to go through the rigmarole of trying to get support, because it can be so time consuming and I wouldn't know where to start. But so my point is a standard package would be great.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
And if I recall, I remember at the last Task and Finish group, diversity and democracy workshop we did have this similar discussion about the childcare element within the allowance system.
What I'll do, Chair, I'll pull together what the existing package of support is around care, childcare, and that whole package to remind members. So if you want to feedback on that particular element in relation to this consultation, because that hasn't changed, it might be that you think, well, actually, this is what's there currently, and that's not sufficient. So you might want to include that in the feedback. So I'll make sure I'll send that, Chair, and I'll put that together for members, if that's okay.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Sonia, please, again.
Could we also, have something which in sort of shorthand informs councillors, so it goes out to all councillors to say, remember this package is available?
Yes, of course, happy to do that, Chair.
Okay, I'm going to ask Craig to come in now.
Just briefly to pick up a point from Councillor Rogers, I've been doing some rough calculations here on the basis of what the percentage will be, and I will estimate this is a very rough calculation. It's around the 2 to 2.5% mark.
Thank you, Craig. Okay, so this item is for decision. The recommendations are listed on page 12 of the agenda pack. So can I please have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Roger proposing. Seconder, please.
Yeah, I'll second, Chair.
Sorry, I missed. Oh, Mike Harvey. Yes, no problem, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Can members please indicate if you wish to abstain?
I can see no abstentions, Chair.
Okay, so if you do not, members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this recommendation is approved.
Chair, I can see no indications to the contrary, so this recommendation is approved.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Moving on to agenda item number 4. This is members' annual report scheme. The report can be yes, it's on pages 53 to 64. I'll hand you over to Craig.
Indeed, Stacey and I are a bit of a double act today, Chair, so we're alternating between various different reports that you're hearing, not just from one of us. So this is a report we bring to members on an annual basis. It's merely there more as a reminder, if anything, because there's a requirement ultimately in legislation that we have to make arrangements for each person who is a member of the local authority to make an annual report about their specific activities as members during the course of the year. And there'll be an opportunity then for it to be published on our website. So we bring a copy of the current template, which we've agreed previously for members to utilise as part of their annual reports programme. And it's just, again, just to emphasise to members, which we're required to do on an annual basis, that the opportunity is there to be able to produce this annual report, and the Democratic Services officers can help support you in that regard and obviously help you to facilitate that publication. They can there to provide any information or statistics maybe you wish to include as part of your annual report as well. But as I mentioned, it is not obligatory. It is purely a discretionary point on yourself whether you wish to do it. And I think as we've moved forward and we've looked at new ways of ultimately communicating with residents through things like social media and various different aspects, maybe the requirement to do a more formal annual report is not something that members would necessarily wish to proceed with. But nevertheless, there is a template there. Democratic Services are happy to support you in putting that arrangements into place.
Thank you, Craig. Any questions, please, members? No? Okay. The recommendations are listed on page 55 of the agenda pack. Please, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Sonia, proposer. Seconder, please.
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Phil. Can members please indicate if you wish to abstain?
I can see no abstentions, Chair.
Thank you, Pam. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take that this recommendation is approved.
Chair, I can see no indications to the contrary, so this recommendation is approved.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, members' personal developmental review. This report is here for decision and is on page 65 to page 86 of the agenda pack. Can I ask who's taking this report?
For the sake of variety, it'll be me, Chair.
Okay, over to you.
So in an echo to the annual report scheme, this is the annual reminder that members are able to participate in a personal development review as per the Local Government Wales legislation. So it's just reminding members of their opportunity to do so. Again, it's personal choice. It is not mandatory that members take this up, but it's just reminding members that they are able to do so should they wish. And it's authorising me then to make those arrangements should any members wish to partake in the process, Chair.
Thank you, Stacey. Members, any questions, please? No? Okay, so can I take you to the recommendation on page... Peter, did you have a question?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Excuse my voice. I got a terrible cold. Is there time specific on this?
Not particularly. It's an annual process. So no, you're not time bound, Councillor Rees.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, Peter, thank you, Peter. So if I could take you to the recommendations then on page 67 of the agenda pack, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you, Phil.
Happy to
Seconder.
second, Chair.
Okay. Nathan, was it?
Sorry, was that you? Sorry.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you very much. Can members please indicate if they wish to abstain?
I can see no abstentions, Chair.
Okay. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take that this recommendation is approved.
Chair, I can see no indication to the contrary, so this recommendation is approved.
Thank you. Now then, agenda item 6, survey of elected members, 2024 to 2025. Again, I'm going to hand you over to Stacey for this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So just briefly, members will be familiar with the annual survey of elected members that is undertaken, and this is asking permission to undertake that process this year. Surveying members allows Democratic Services and this committee to gain really valuable feedback and reflection from members on the support that's offered, training. Particularly this year, we're going to focus on the new model of scrutiny and to try and get some valuable feedback from members on those processes. So we're just asking for permission to undertake that survey over the winter period now to inform any arrangements ready for the next civic year. We are obligated to ask members annually about the timings of meetings. We are obligated to do that. So this survey allows us an opportunity to do that. And again, as I said, we will be focusing on the new model and the new governance arrangements particularly, which will really help in the review of the scrutiny model, as we promised we will undertake in the next coming months. You'll notice that we usually do this on a face-to-face basis, either via Teams or in person, because we get much richer information and it really opens a dialogue with members rather than just having an email response. So just asking for permission to do that as well this year, Chair. We've included some potential questions in the appendices, but that's just the flavour of the questions we're asking, because we're hoping this will be a dialogue between officers and members to really, inform the support for members that goes forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Stacey. Can I ask, last year, I remember you sent out this very similar survey. Was it one-to-one or was it was?
Yes, so we've done it on a one-to-one basis, I'd say, for at least the last 3 years, maybe. It's just far more richer data that we get. And obviously, when we send an email out, it's very dry. We don't get a huge response when it's via email. But I think we surveyed maybe all members, bar maybe one or two if people. So it's really good. We get a really good response, and hopefully members feel that we can change or adapt or improve services and feedback based on that. So it does work well, I think.
Okay, thank you. So this report is here for decision, and it's on page 87 to page 98. Do members have any questions? No? Oh, sorry, Sonia.
This is a flavour of the questions, etc. So basically, because you're doing this one-to-one, there'll be follow-ups. There'll be much more coming out. I just wanted to get there. And can you tell us what changed as a result of last year's survey at all? Is there any sort of particular development you can think of where members were keen about something or other that saw a change?
The feedback always informs the training and development programme. So members' particular feedback will always inform what the training programme looks like. So, for example, whatever was requested, budget scrutiny training was one in particular, which has been put on as a result of that. And the results are always reported to this committee following the feedback. So the Democratic Services Committee then will follow those recommendations through. So yeah, we can look back and see what we were reminded of last year. Perhaps that might be a good benchmark actually to see what we asked last year and any feedback. But it's just a reflective exercise for the team and for members, obviously, to see what we can improve.
Does this, because I've only been a member for part of the year, so does this committee receive feedback from the answers and a summary of the answers and everything? Thank you.
Yeah, and just to follow up, I recall one of the topics that did come out in conversation when we were looking at the feedback previously was the concept about the level of abuse members have been receiving in the community where it comes to social media element, which led to us framing then the handling, harassment, abuse and intimidation counsellors workshop, which led to the task and finish group we'll be talking about now in episode 7, agenda item 7. So yeah, absolutely, we take on board, and I think it's obviously a learning opportunity to make sure that the committee are cited, and for obviously Democratic Services Committee to look at that feedback and the information and hopefully make some suggestions then, because ultimately it's about your development, your opportunities, your program. So we really want Democratic Services Committee to work with us and to try and help develop that. And if you were in any particular group meetings, if you can promote the taking part of these surveys and obviously being as honest as you can in these arrangements. We don't want to hear if everything is good. We want to hear if there are issues. We can make sure we can put things in place then to address them as well, Chair.
Thank you, Craig and Stacey. So the recommendation are listed on page 89 to page 90. Can I please have a proposer and a seconder?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Happy to
Sonia,
second, Chair.
okay, thank you very much. Can members please indicate if you wish to abstain?
I can see no abstentions, Chair.
Okay, members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this recommendation is approved.
Chair, I can see no indication to the contrary, so this recommendation is approved.
Okay, now we go on to agenda item number 7, which is report of the handling, harassment, abuse and intimidation towards elected members, task and finish group. You want to take it, Craig? Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Chair. So members will recall that over the last couple of months, hard to believe where the time has been going, we convened a task and finish group following the conclusion of Democratic Services Committee, where we specifically looked at the issue of intimidation, harassment and abuse faced by elected members in their course of the day-to-day work then as an elected member. So the aim being to identify the issues faced, to look at potential actions that we could try and take forward then as a council to hopefully try and reduce the impact. Most importantly, I think we recognise there are some things we'll never actually be able to stop, but it's the measures and support that we can put in place then to best support you as elected members. So following the work of the task and finish group, which met then on a couple of occasions, we produced a sort of action plan which has been included within your papers today, and that then is at page 110 of your papers in total, so appendix A, page 8 of this report. This was agreed ultimately by the task and finish group, but it's now formally reported to Democratic Services Committee today, or hopefully for you to endorse it. And as you'll see then, we are proposing that we'll bring some 6-monthly progress reports back in respect of each of the individual elements. And we will be now cracking on to be actually putting all of these measures in place into supporting you in that regard. So there may be different policies and procedures we will be bringing to Democratic Services Committee or other decision makers at various different intervals over the course of the next sort of year as part of this, but hopefully a work programme can be endorsed today, and the team and I then can crack on and start implementing everything and put the measures in place for you. But as we reiterated a lot during the actual work of the task and finish group, this is something that can be ever changing. It's a flexible document, so if we think there are new proposals or new issues ultimately we would like to put in place, hopefully we will be able to now use the Democratic Services Committee to continue to update and to monitor our implementation of these, and we always welcome any potential views as going forward. We did feel that we might keep the task and finish group live, so to speak, at the moment, if only to have some sort of general sessions where we could go through specific aspects or particular documents before we bring them back here for final endorsement, and just to make sure that members are cited and comfortable in all of the processes that we're embarking on, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Craig. So the report here is for decision today. Do members have any questions on the report, please? Anyone online? See online.
I can't see any questions, Chair. Oh, Councillor
sorry.
Rogers.
Yeah, Councillor Philip Rogers, please.
Sorry, Chair, I missed the button with that. No, I just want to congratulate the person who put it, I don't know who did it, who put all this together. It's very easy to follow, and it covers all the things I think we did discuss, because it was quite an open discussion when we had the task and finish group, and it's very, very detailed. I think it's just a matter of implementing all the things that we'd like to do now within it, and I look forward to the further progress on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And I also echo what Phil has just said. Thanks to the officers for your commitment and dedication in getting this report.
I just want to say, Chair, I think the full credit here should go to Pamela, sitting on my left here. Pam spent a lot of time pulling together all of the feedback and put it into the format ultimately you're seeing today. I think if it was left to me, it would have been a much more less attractive document, put it that way. So I think credit here certainly goes to Pamela for the work that she's put into this.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, so we haven't had a proposal for this, have we? Yeah. No. Okay. So can I please have a proposal, please, and a second there?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Happy to
Propose.
second, Chair.
Okay. So, thank you very much. Can member please indicate if you wish to abstain?
I can see no abstentions, Chair.
Okay, members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this recommendation is approved.
I can see no indication to the contrary, Chair, so this recommendation is approved.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to agenda item 8, forward work program. This item here is for noting. Stacey, are you?
Yes, Chair. So the eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed that we've put a potential special meeting in for the committee in December based on the works planned for the Princess Royal Theatre in relation to the Levelling Up Fund that will commence in the new year, because that will have a significant effect on member facilities, including member parking, committee rooms, council chamber, and the civic centre itself, because of the works planned to the Princess Royal Theatre. We're unclear as yet to the extent of those works, but the Democratic Services Committee has the remit for member facilities. So you will be included in those planned works, and any mitigation that might need to be put around any other arrangements that needs to be made. For example, the council chamber is likely to be out of use because of the planned works to the theatre. So we'll be bringing the planned options and any mitigating suggestions to the committee, but everybody's trying to work those through at the moment. So we're planning on bringing whatever we've got to members in December, because you are the committee who is responsible for member facilities. So just bearing that in mind, when you see that meeting go in, that is what it's for, Chair. Thank you.
So Stacey, can I ask, so discussion from this meeting, I mean, where will it get to? I mean,
well, we've been speaking to property colleagues as much as we've been able to, because the work planned for the Princess Royal Theatre has to commence to a particular time frame to meet the criteria of the Levelling Up Fund. So we're trying to work out the consequence on the civic centre side, because the civic centre side, as far as we know, isn't being touched, but obviously it is directly linked to the Princess Royal Theatre. All the utilities are linked, for example. We might have the possibility that some days it's very, very noisy, very, very dusty. It might be more of a construction site on some weeks than others. The car park may be unavailable completely because it might be a construction site. I think it's the unknown as yet. We're talking about the mayor's parlour, we're talking about committee rooms, we're talking about the council chamber. So there's a whole host of elements that will affect member facilities here. So until we have broken those down with our property colleagues, we're unclear yet about what the effect will be and what mitigation we can put around those options. But that's what we'll have here, Chair. And Craig and I haven't seen that yet. So as soon as you will see it when we see it, and we've been very clear with property colleagues that we need to be consulted on this, and this is the committee which has to agree to whatever options are proposed around those factors, Chair.
Craig? Oh, sorry, Sonia?
On that specific thing, I've got something else I wanted to bring up, but on that specific thing, I understand you haven't got details yet, and that will be planned. Can we, however, take note that the fact that members are coming in more at the moment, that from my view and from a lot of councillors I'm speaking to, people are missing coming in, so want the interaction. What I don't want to see is this going backwards as a result of work on that and being able to have meetings. So presumably part of the discussion would be looking at the availability in Neath and, and the downstairs rooms here that could be used for meetings and activities, and making clear alternatives available. Some of us do use the members' rooms, some of us do use the dedicated Labour rooms along the end. So there is a real need to make sure all of those things continue to be available, please. Thank you.
You're absolutely correct, Councillor Reynolds, and that's one of the key aspects for us, because if something is ultimately being taken away, we need to ensure that there are suitable replacements ultimately that can meet the requirements. We've also got to ensure that we're still meeting our legal requirements in respect of webcasting of meetings, live broadcast, etc. Obviously, the Chamber is kitted out for these arrangements, so we need to make sure that we've got contingencies. For example, one of the contingencies will be that we could potentially use our presentation and conference rooms on the ground floor for normal day-to-day scrutiny meetings, but we will still retain the council chamber when it comes to full council, because obviously we've got all 60 members as part of it, and work may stop for the duration of that meeting. So lots of different elements being worked through at the moment, and really the purpose of that meeting, if we do put one in December time or early January, will be to give you the full impact so you can see the full position, and obviously remember you can be involved then as part of those processes. But our aim is to try and minimise the impact ultimately on council business as much as possible, if only to make life much easier for the Democratic Services team as well. So there's an added bonus that we all stand to benefit in that regard.
Second point for the forward work programme was the review of scrutiny. I bear in mind that the new scrutiny arrangements are mentioned in the members' survey. However, when in the timing of this might this committee have the opportunity to look at the scrutiny arrangements and give views on how the scrutiny arrangement are going and feed into that review and be involved in that?
Of course, Councillor, we haven't factored it in for a specific date yet, but we will certainly go away now and plot that as part of the process. So just to give members an overview, we have a meeting of our chairs and vice chairs of scrutiny coming up now just before the Christmas period, so I believe it's end of November, early December. What we will be doing then is speaking with our respective chairs to agree what their views have been as part of the process. We are looking then potentially at revisiting with Audit Wales, who came in to do some work with us previously, and obviously to give us more of an independent oversight at the same time as well, so we can get the full avenues. But Democratic Services Committee will be one of the consultees and be involved in those processes. So if it's not, it'll be programmed into one of those dates, or as an alternative, we may have to hold a special meeting if we're going to attract a lot of debate, because it may actually require other people from other committees who may want to become part of it as well, who are not necessarily on this one, to ensure we capture the widest element possible. So yes, absolutely, it will be part of it. We've just got to work out the potential date when that will be. But once we've got a definitive timetable, we'll be bringing that to the attention of all members for them to be aware of as well.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay, thank you, Craig, and thank you, Sonia, for your question. Do members have anything further to add to the forward work programs item? None. Okay, no, I can't see any. So agenda item 9, then urgent item. I have no urgent items today, so this concludes our meeting for today. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Congratulations to
Thanks.
Craig on his calculation for the maths.